used to chant throughout the whole night about their expressing their love and devotion to Krishna. They would chant the whole night. And during the day they would go out in Nagar Sankirtan. Like practically 24 hours activity. In the day they were chanting through the city streets, and at night in the house, Shiva Sangam, in the house of Sridhar Thakur. And at that time, as you know, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu delivered Jagai and Madhai, two most sinful people. Who are these Jagai and Madhai? Jai and Vijay, who in Satyuga became Hiranyakashipu and Hiranyaksha. In Treta Yuga, they became Ravan and Kumbhakarna. In Dwapar Yuga, they became Shishupal and Dantavakra. And in Kali Yuga, they became two Brahmanas, Jagadananda and Madhavananda. So people used to call him Jagadananda as Jagai and Madhavananda as Madhai. They were most sinful. They were extremely cruel. If anybody agitated them or disturbed them in any way, they would burn their house, plunder everything, molested the female members of the family. Sometimes they would even kill. So, and Nityananda Prabhu and Haridas Thakur were instructed by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to go and distribute Krishna consciousness, preach. That go from door to door and ask them to chant the holy name. In this way, in this way you distribute the holy name. But Nityananda Prabhu thought that when they were preaching, how Nityananda Prabhu was preaching, that has been very beautifully described by Srila Vrindavan Das Thakur. Jathishtam re bhrato kuru hori hori dhana manisham tato va samsaram buddhi taranodayo mahi laget idam bahus photoi ratuti ratayanja pratigriham bhaje nityanandam bhajanatolukandam niravadhi. Jathishtam re bhrato Jai Shri Shri Radha Madan Mohan ki jai, Jai Shri Shri Krishna Balaram ki jai, Jai Shri Shri Jagannath Baladev Sthana Maharaj ki jai, Jai Shri Shri Prahlad Nrsimhadev ki jai, Jai Shri Shri Gaurnitai ki jai, Shri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki, Jagannath Mishra Mahotsav ki. The day after Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was born, the next day Jagannath Mishra had a celebration. Yesterday you all fasted, so today there will be a feast. Jagannath Mahotsav. So, Jagai and Madhai, Nityananda Prabhu thought that if we can convert these two persons, then Mahaprabhu's glory will be established. Everyone will see his greatness. Like if the most sinful people can be delivered, then people will recognize his greatness. So Nityananda Prabhu told Haridas Thakur, Haridas, let's go and ask these two guys to chant the holy name. Other people said, please don't go near them. And they are, you don't know what he may do to you. They're the most cruel people that anyone has ever seen. Nityananda Prabhu didn't care. So he went to Jagai and Madhai and said, please chant the holy name and make your human form of life successful. Jagai and Madhai were drunk. They're always drunk. And they said, you came here to give me advice. You rascal. And they said, kill him. And Nityananda Prabhu and Haridas Thakur ran. When I was reading, I was a new devotee when I was reading this part from Chaitanya Bhagavat. I was thinking, quite disappointed. Why Nityananda Prabhu is the Supreme Personality of Godhead? Why is running away like that? Later on only I realized that this is Lord's pastimes. Actually Nityananda Prabhu can finish him off in no time. He is Shankarshan Balaram. So, but the thing is the Lord performs his pastimes in this way to teach us something. And it's like a drama, which I mentioned many a times before. The Lord's pastimes are like a drama. Like he's playing the role. I mean here, although he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, but he is actually acting in that way. So Nityananda Prabhu and Haridas Thakur ran for their life with Jagai and Madhai on their tails. They ran and Jagai and Madhai shouting to kill them. And then they came by a potter's shop. And there are all these clay pot things, matka and bartan, the bowls and things were piled up. So went behind that and Jagai and Madhai couldn't find them, they carried on running, they couldn't. So Haridas Thakur that night went and reported to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, I'm not going out with this man anymore. Like today we almost lost our life. But eventually, as you know, what happened? Nityananda Prabhu went and to Jagai Madhai once again. But this time Madhai took his clay pot with which he was drinking and he just struck him with that. Nityananda Prabhu was bleeding. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu immediately appeared there and he was calling Sudarshan Chakra. Jagai and Madhai saw that the chakra is coming. But Nityananda Prabhu fell at Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's feet. My Lord, in this age you decided not to take any weapon. In this age your weapon is your love. You are going to kill all the demons with your love, not with any weapon. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu withdrew the Sudarshan Chakra. Jagai and Madhai fell at Nityananda Prabhu's feet. Nityananda Prabhu mentioned that Jagai actually saved him when Madhai was about to hit him again. He actually stopped him. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu forgave him, okay, but I'm not going to forgive Madhai. The only one who can actually forgive him is Nityananda Prabhu himself. And Nityananda Prabhu, what he did, he embraced Madhai. So this way Jagai and Madhai were delivered. In Mayapur, still now you see Madhai Ghat. On the Ganges, there's a place where Madhai used to sit there. And when everybody would come to take his bath, Madhai would not only help them, but also wash their feet. What a transformation. The worst demon now became such a submissive devotee. So after that, Nityananda Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, another wonderful incident happened. The Brahmanas there actually reported to Chadkazi, the magistrate of that place, that these people are acting in an inappropriate way. They're, in the name of Hinduism, they are introducing some activities which is not really appropriate. So you are the ruler, so you take action. This chanting, loud chanting of mantra is not bona fide. So then Chatkazi went to that place, and as you know, he broke the mridanga, and he declared that from then on, if anyone chanted the holy name loudly, he would convert him into Muslim. That day, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Nityananda Prabhu were not there. Next morning, Srivas Thakur and others went and reported to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, "Who? What? Once you stop Sankirtan, let me see what power this Qazi has. Everyone come, we will go to Kali in protest." So that day, that evening, all the residents of Navadvip came with a torch in hand. And at night, when they're moving, it created in one hand, such a beautiful sight, but at the same time, such a frightening sight. Thousands of people with burning torch in hand, chanting the holy name. Some were not even chanting the holy name. They were actually saying, "Qazi, today we are going to kill you." So saying that, they actually came to Chatkazi's palace. They broke the whole garden, destroyed it. Chatkazi was hiding. All his guards and sentries, they ran away. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to him and told him that I came to your house as a guest. Why, instead of receiving me, you're hiding? So Chatkazi came out. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had a beautiful discussion with Chatkazi. And as a result of that, Chatkazi became a devotee. He didn't, of course, change his name, but he actually said that from now on, if anyone stops this Sankirtan, I am going to disown him from my family. And Chatkazi's family is still there in Mayapur. Chatkazi's descendants are still there. You have seen Chatkazi's samadhi. It's beautiful. There in the samadhi, there is a Golok Chapa tree and a neem tree. They're actually intertwined, as if these two trees are embracing each other. So Chatkazi's nickname was Golok. What a name. So it is Golok Champa, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is Nimai. The neem tree and Golok Champa tree are embracing each other in Chatkazi's samadhi. And as I say, Chatkazi's descendants are still there. And they are very favorable. So this is how Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, through his pastimes, he was demonstrating who he actually is. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took sannyas at the age of 24. And one early morning, he left home. He went to Katwa. in the ashram of Keshav Bharati, took sannyas from him. He wanted to go to Vrindavan right after sannyas. Like a madman, he started to run with Nityananda, Chandrasekhar and Gadadhar with him. So Mukunda also was there. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was running and they also were running. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu just wanted to go to Vrindavan. For 3 days and 3 nights, non-stop, they had been running and running and running. But Nityananda Prabhu tricked Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and instead of taking him towards Vrindavan, he brought him back to the other side of the Ganges. And there were some cowherd boys tending their cows, and he knew that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu would ask them, seeing the cowherd boys and the cows, which place is this? And Nityananda Prabhu taught them that when this person comes and asks you what is the name of this place, you tell them this place is called Vrindavan. And so when Mahaprabhu saw the cows and the cowherd boys tending the cows, the memories of Vrindavan dawned in him, and he asked, "What's this place? Is it Vrindavan?" He said, yes, this is Vrindavan. And he saw Ganga there. He said, "Nityananda, we came to Vrindavan, so this is Jamuna." Nityananda Prabhu said, yes, Jamuna. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu just jumped into the river. And then Advaita Acharya came in a boat. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu already sent Chandrasekhar to inform Advaita Acharya on the other side of the river, Shantipur, that he is bringing Chaitanya Mahaprabhu back. And then after informing him, he should go to Mayapur and tell everyone to come to Advaita Acharya's house to see Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Nityananda Prabhu made this arrangement because he knew how heartbroken all the residents of Navadvip must have been due to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's sudden departure to take sannyas. So that's why he brought him back, so that residents of Navadvip can see him once again. So Advaita Acharya came on a boat and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went into the river. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked, "Advaita, how come you are here?" He said, "Yes, Nityananda informed me that you are coming here. So that's why I came with some dry clothes for you." What? Nityananda told you? That means this is not Vrindavan, this is not Jamuna. Advaita Acharya didn't know what to say. So he went and told Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went and told Nityananda, "Nityananda, you lied to me, and you must have told those boys to lie to me. This is Vrindavan. You misdirected me and brought me to Navadvip, and you are saying this is Vrindavan. And when I asked you, you said this is Jamuna." Nityananda said, "I never lie." Wherever you are, that is Vrindavan. And after Prayag, after the confluence, Triveni, where Ganga and Jamuna met, Jamuna is flowing on the western side and Ganga is flowing on the eastern side. So since this is the western side of the river, this is Jamuna. So anyway, this is how he brought Chaitanya Mahaprabhu back to Navadvip, Shantipur. He didn't go to Navadvip. And the whole of Navadvip came to see Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And the only person who didn't come was Vishnu Priya Devi, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's wife. Because the wife doesn't meet the husband after he takes sannyas. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu met Sachimata. Sachimata was old and there was no male member in the family when he took sannyas. Sachimata was more than 60 years old and Vishnu Priya Devi was just about 16 years old. So leaving an unprotected old mother and young wife, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took sannyas. In this respect, Prabhupada said that through these pastimes, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu demonstrated that if one leaves home, leaving his family members behind, one need not worry. Krishna will take care of them. In order to demonstrate that, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took sannyas at the age of 24, leaving his old mother and young wife at home, unprotected, no male member in the family. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu met Sachimata, he was feeling very guilty. He said, Mother, I made a mistake. I took sannyas, leaving you behind. So I'll give up my sannyas and take care of you. But Sachimata, as the ideal mother, said, no, you have taken sannyas, so you shouldn't give up your sannyas. If you do that, then everyone will laugh at you. So my only request is that stay close by so that I can get to hear about your well-being. And on Sachimata's request, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu decided to go to Jagannath Puri. Because the devotees from Bengal would go to Jagannath Puri during the Ratha Yatra festival, and from Jagannath Puri people would come to Bengal to see Ganga, and that way there'll be communication so that Sachimata could get Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's information. So in this way, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, after taking sannyas, he went to Jagannath Puri. Nityananda Prabhu was there, Jagadananda, Mukunda, everything. When Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came to Jagannath Puri, he became, seeing Lord Jagannath, he fainted. So this is the meaning of Premanjana Churita Bhakti Vilochani. When we all see Lord Jagannath, how do we see? An incomplete form, like as if it is not, the form is not complete. It's an unusual form. But what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was seeing him, how he was seeing him, just seeing Lord Jagannath out of ecstasy, he fainted. And everybody became quite concerned. What happened? What happened? At that time, the Raj Pandit, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, who was the Sabha Pandit, the greatest scholar of the assembly of the king, Prataprudra, was there. So he saw that this young sannyasi fainted. Looked like he lost his life, he was dead. So he examined him and he could see that he's not dead, he was still alive. He took some cotton and placed it in front of his nose and he saw that the quarter was moving. But he could see that he was a great scholar, but he could see that these are the ecstatic symptom. His fainting is ecstatic symptom. That one he read in books, but never seen anyone displaying this kind of ecstasy. So he, with his assistants and students, he took him to his house. Later on, others came. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu actually became upset with Nityananda Prabhu. Nityananda Prabhu broke his danda. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to take bath. He left the danda with Mukunda, and Nityananda Prabhu took the danda. Danda means punishment. So sannyas, danda is kind of one voluntarily accepts punishment. That is the crime that he has committed rejecting Krishna. So he accepts this vow of total renunciation. So Nityananda Prabhu took the danda and had a little conversation with him. My dear sir, who do you think you are? My Lord and Master, who is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the maintainer of the entire creation, he is going to carry you? I cannot tolerate that. And he broke the danda, threw it in the river. After taking his bath, when Chaitanya Mahaprabhu came, asked for his danda, Mukunda said that Nityananda Prabhu broke it and threw it in the river. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu became very upset. He said, what do you think you are? What do you think I'm doing? After sannyas, I wanted to go to Vrindavan and he misdirected me, brought me back to Navadvip. And now my only possession, this danda, you broke it and threw it away. I had enough of you. I don't want to spend any time with you. Saying that, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu just ran to meet, to see Lord Jagannath. And the others followed him, but Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was running so fast that he arrived in the temple much ahead of them. So when they arrived in the temple and inquired if any such person came to the temple, then the people said, yes, there was a young sannyasi who fainted when he came to a temple, and Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya happened to be here at the time, and Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya took him to his house. So on the way they met Gopinath Acharya, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya's brother-in-law. So Gopinath Acharya already knew about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Actually, he was from Navadvip. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya also was from Navadvip, but he left Navadvip long before Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared. So Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya didn't know about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. But Gopinath Acharya, seeing them, Nityananda Prabhu and others, he was very excited. Oh, how come you all are here? And they said that they came with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, and Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is in the house of Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. And Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya was his brother-in-law. So they all went. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was still unconscious. But when they started to chant the holy name, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu regained consciousness. He got up and then Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya asked everyone to go and have darshan of Lord Jagannath. And he made arrangements for Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's accommodation. Then Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, he was actually an impersonalist. He was considered to be the greatest scholar of Vedanta philosophy of that time. But that understanding was Shankaracharya's commentary, which is impersonal. Impersonal means they don't accept the form of the Lord. So, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya was very concerned about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He felt that this person took sannyas at such a young age. At the age of 24, took sannyas. And he is so handsome, so beautiful. And he is so emotional, so sentimental. He sings and dances. He doesn't have the gravity of a sannyasi. So he may fall down from his sannyas order. So he mentioned that he would give him instruction on Vedanta philosophy to fix him up in his sannyas. So Gopinath Acharya said, look, he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya said, another sentimentalist. And he reasoned that the Supreme Personality of Godhead doesn't appear in the age of Kali. Therefore, he is known as Tri-Juga. Gopinath Acharya pointed out he is called Tri-Juga because when he appears in the fourth Juga, Kali Juga, he doesn't appear as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He appears hiding his identity. Therefore, he is called Tri-Juga. And so in this way they would have big argument. But finally Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, when he got to know that, he said, well, he's my well-wisher. So if he wants to instruct me on Vedanta philosophy, then that's wonderful. I will accept it as his blessing. And so Chaitanya Mahaprabhu agreed to listen to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya's teachings. And Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya started to explain Vedanta Sutra to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. For 7 days he instructed him. And Chaitanya Mahaprabhu just listened without saying anything. So eventually Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya asked him, Krishna Chaitanya, do you understand what I am saying? Because you don't say anything, you are just silently listening. I don't know whether you are understanding at all. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, I understand the sutras, the aphorisms, but I don't understand your explanation. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya said, what? The explanations are meant to explain the meaning. And you are saying that you understand the sutras, but you don't understand my explanation. So Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, your explanation is not revealing the meaning. Rather, your explanations like a cloud covering the sun. All the sutras are clear as broad daylight. But what you are actually deriving, concocting the meaning, they all are mistaken. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya was again devastated and angry. What do you mean? So then Chaitanya Mahaprabhu quoted a verse from Srimad Bhagavatam and asked him to explain that verse. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya gave 18 explanations. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave 64 explanations to the verse without touching his 18th. And the basic meaning of that verse is, the verse goes like, Atma Ramascha Munayo Nirgranthapi Udukrame Kurvanti Ahaituking Bhakting Itham Bhuta Gunahari. Meaning, Atma Ramascha Munayo, the exalted munis or thinkers, the exalted sages, who are deriving their pleasure in their spiritual identity, Atma Ramascha Munayo. Nirgrantha, although they are free from all attachments, but still, Kurbanti Ahaituking Bhakti, they render unalloyed devotional service unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So, the Mayavadis' impersonalist understanding is liberation or mukti is the ultimate goal. But this verse from Srimad Bhagavatam is saying, after attaining liberation, one becomes engaged in devotional service. Those who are liberated, like Sukadeva Goswami, 4 Kumaras, after being liberated, they achieve devotional service. So in this way, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu pointed out that devotional service is beyond liberation. And it is not that the Lord doesn't have a form, but the Lord's form is not material. Therefore, sometimes he is identified as Nirakar. He doesn't have a form that is material. So this way, Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya also was defeated by this 24-year-old sannyasi. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya also was very upset that he was the greatest scholar of India and he has been defeated by this apparently sentimentalist devotee of the Lord. So Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, a closed door, he was crying, not crying, heartbroken, he was just sitting in his room. The dead of the night, a wonderful personality appeared to him. First he saw him as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu with his danda and kamandalu of a sannyasi. Then he saw 4 other arms holding conch, lotus, mace and disc, chakra, Sankha chakra, Gada. And then he saw him with these 4 other arms, with 2 arms he was holding the bow and arrow of Lord Ramchandra. With other 2 arms he was holding the flute of Krishna Chandra, and with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Chaitanya Chandra, he was holding a water pot and a sannyas danda. Seeing that, he recognized who he is, and he composed 100 prayers in his glorification. One of them is Vairagya Vidya Nija Bhakti Yoga Shikharthameka Purusha Purana Shri Krishna Chaitanya Shariradhari Kripam Buddhirjas Tamaham Prapadde. Vairagya Vidya Nija Bhakti Yogam Shikharthamekam Purusha Purana. Purusha Purana, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, in order to teach the living entities, Shikharthameka, teach the living entities the process of devotional service. Nija Bhakti Jopam, his own devotion. In order to teach his own devotion, the Supreme Personality of Godhead has appeared as Sri Krishna Chaitanya Shariradhari, Sri Krishna Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So in this way we can see that although Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was trying to hide his identity, he appeared covering his identity, but his identity is becoming revealed. And those who are accepting as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, it's interesting to note that none of them accepted him as the Supreme Personality of Godhead at the beginning. But then they accepted him. All the great scholars of that time. So this is how we can see Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's identity. And later on also we will see that who are the people who accepted Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu? The greatest of the personalities of that time. Some were even offensive to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu at the beginning, like Prakashananda Saraswati. He was a leader of the sannyasis of Banaras, Varanasi. And he was joking and laughing at Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in their own assembly. Oh, that Krishna Chaitanya, that sentimentalist. But by coming in contact with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, by his mercy, Prakashananda Saraswati became a devotee. All the sannyasis of Benares became devotees. They all started to chant the holy name of the Lord. So now can anybody have any doubt that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is the Supreme Personality of Godhead? Who doesn't have any doubt that he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead? Thank you very much. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Does anybody have any question? Ashish Dikshit, Akhila Dhara Das. Is he here? Akhil Dhara here? Okay. Okay. Jagai, Hare Krishna Maharaj, Jagai Madhai, when asked by Nityananda to chant, they ran behind and told, "Who are you giving advice to us?" In subtle way, I am doing the same. His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada kindly asked us to chant 16 rounds attentively and follow regulative principles. But still I maintain my material attachments and lower attractions. Please guide how to cultivate steadfast devotional service and surrender and take deep shelter of the divine disciplic succession which mercifully accepted me and make my human form of life perfect, giving up or submitting to any lower nature, giving up or submitting any lower nature. Okay, so now that you realized, what are you going to do? Run away? Or fall down? Surrender. What will you do? So do it. Very good. At least now you are not running, you are listening. That's a good sign. Yes, that's Prabhupada's mercy. Has so wonderfully been being showered upon us. So we must take full advantage of it. If somebody comes and gives you $1 million, what will you do? What will you do? Will you throw it away and go away? Now what Prabhupada gave is priceless. With what to say, speak of million, even billions, trillions doesn't compare. So he got such a precious object. What are you going to do about that? Right? Take advantage. Any other question? Okay. So now there are a few. You have a question? Yeah.
I have two questions. Thank you very much. So you spoke in the class that the danda that Chaitanya Mahaprabhu carried, or the danda that sannyasi carried, that is a sign of that I turn my face from the Supreme Lord. So I want to hear more about it. And the second question is with respect to Srinathji, Gopal deities, that they were of our parampara, and Puri was worshipping them. How come they are now with Pushti Margis, and what was that when the deities?
Okay, two questions. The first one, sannyas danda. Like, one aspect is like, when we realize that I have committed a mistake, then they voluntarily accept this danda. And what is the danda? From now on, I am going to offer my body, my mind, and my words in the service of Krishna. Right? With my body and with my mind and with my words, I had been trying to enjoy this material nature. That's the material condition. Now I want to rectify my mistake and surrender myself completely. That's the meaning of sannyas. And that's a good question. The second question, actually, Madhavendra Puri rescued Srinathji. Srinathji is actually Gopal deity. And this deity is one of the deities that Krishna's great-grandson established. So, but you see, during the Muslim period, they were breaking the deities, so many of the deities were taken away from Vrindavan to Rajasthan. Gopal was taken also to Rajasthan, Nathdwara. And they had the custody came to Ballavacharya's followers. Now, Ballavacharya was a very respectable person. He was very well known. He was patronized by the king, very opulent, and he was a great scholar. But Chaitanya Mahaprabhu chastised him many times. And when Chaitanya Charitamrita came out, prior to that they were all very much attached to Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Goswamis of Vrindavan. Like, for example, when the books were brought from Vrindavan by Srinivas Acharya, Narottam Das Thakur and Shyamananda Prabhu, it was Ballavacharya's sons who actually arranged the transport. They got the cart, they got the box to carry the book. And so until then we can see that the relationship was very nice. But later on, when Chaitanya Charitamrita came out, And they saw how Chaitanya Mahaprabhu chastised Vallabhacharya. So they turned against Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. They, instead of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu being the Mahaprabhu, they started to call Vallabhacharya as Mahaprabhu. And like that, so. But the reality is, who is Vallabhacharya? Vallabhacharya is the parrot, Sukha. And in Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes, he came as Vallabhacharya. So the Lord can have a joking relationship with the parrot. Right? He may chastise. The parrot says something and they say, no, what you are saying is not right. So many times Chaitanya Mahaprabhu corrected Vallabhacharya and chastised him. But this is the relationship between the Lord and his devotee. But unfortunately they could not, and therefore they don't want to have anything to do with us. But at the same time, they had been quite helpful. Like Sumati Morarji was from the Vallabh Sampradaya. She arranged the Prabhupada's journey to America. So this way, they may feel that way, but we have a nice relationship. We sing his Madhurashtakam, his Vallabhacharya's composition. We sing it. We don't have any problem. Sumohan Chaitanya Das. Okay. Hare Krishna Guru Maharaj, please accept my humble obeisances in your lotus feet. Guru Maharaj, my question is, the impersonalist does not believe in the form of the Lord. So why Sarvam Bhattacharya believe in the form of Lord Jagannath? So their understanding of the form is that this form is a transformation of Brahma Jyoti. Brahma Jyoti in mode of goodness becomes Narayan. Therefore they call sannyasis Narayan. So when they go to the temple, the impersonalists go to the temple, but their understanding is that beyond this deity is Brahman.
Hare Krishna, thank you very much for watching. Now Maharaj can announce the results of last quiz.
Hare Krishna. First, Akhilesh Nagar, 12 out of 12. Great. Second, Janabri Priya Mataji, Surat, 12 out of 12. That means 12,397 first mark, second one 11,990. And third position, Murari Charan Das, 9 out of 12, 9,129. Great. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much for participating.
Hare Krishna, today's quiz link is in the chat box. All the devotees can complete it. This is the status for today's quiz.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna, all the devotees are requested to kindly click on the link and participate in this quiz. And we will share today's quote by Srila Guru Maharaj. I will request Maharaj to kindly read this quote by Srila Guru Maharaj.
April 8. Sometimes the spiritual master may give personal instructions and sometimes he may not. But the main thing is that one executes the mission of a spiritual master. With all due respect and with a heavy heart, I must say that so many devotees received personal instructions from Srila Prabhupada. But where are they now? In many cases, those who are loyally serving Srila Prabhupada never even met him. Now, whose relationship with Srila Prabhupada is stronger? It is through service to the spiritual master that we develop a relationship with him. You know, Vadara Prabhu ordered me to read this because he knew that Bhakti Maharaj got so many personal instructions from Guru Maharaj, but how many he is following? That is for reminding me. He ordered me to read this. Thank you very much for reminding me.
Sorry, Maharaj, this was today's quote by Guru Maharaj only. I thought to share.
Okay, Hare Krishna.
Maharaj.
Next time.
Hare
Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranam Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
Krishna, Maharaj.
Maharaj, Dandavat Pranam.